What's up, North Point? Hey, service is going to be starting in just a bit. And usually during this time, you'd see a countdown, you'd hear a couple songs, and you'd be carrying your cup of coffee. But today's a little bit different. We're getting started early because we've got baptisms. And we love celebrating baptisms. And baptisms aren't a parade of perfect people, they're actually just very real people who are making a public declaration of their faith. And this weekend, we've got a story of a North Pointer who found Jesus in a really hard time in their life. And I hope today can be a reminder that whatever you're going through, good or bad, you've got a God that sees you. And so let's check out Chloe's story.
Growing up, I was an only child. My mom was a single parent, and she did what she could. We had what we needed. As a child, I did activities, and I was in Girl Scouts, gymnastics, and my grandma got me into church, and I would go to church Wednesday nights. But life was really stressful, and my mom being a single parent, she was always working and trying to find stability, so we didn't really stay in church. My dad was traveling, working, and he wasn't around, so seeing him once a year made me emotional as a kid. I wanted to see my dad more. And after he got sick, he did what he could until he couldn't anymore, and I took the role on taking care of him. My dad had Lou Gehrig's disease, and it ended up taking over his whole body, and he lost the ability to do an everyday life. I also was a full-time student in college and working full-time, trying to do everything all at once. I took care of my dad until he passed away, and he passed away at the home that I got for us, for him to be comfortable. And I just felt really, really alone. And I was in just a really dark space. I was living by myself. I didn't have any close friends that could relate. I didn't In the year, me and my dad grew a great bond. It was amazing, but I felt like it wasn't long enough. I was angry at God. I was angry at the situation. I was angry at the people around me because I just felt alone. So after losing my dad, I was like, okay, I need a community. I need somebody to talk to, maybe some friends. I was just scrolling through Facebook and just seeing what's on there. Facebook's always wild, social media is something. And I seen the young adult ad, and I started coming to North Point. I went by myself, so I was so nervous. I remember the first person I saw was Caleb, and Caleb came up to me, he was like, hey. I was like, hey. He's like, what's your name? I was like, Chloe. And it made me feel so welcomed. And after that, everybody around started coming up to me, introducing themselves. After service and worship and everything, Caleb did his message. We ended up having group, and there was somebody named Maddie there, and I had no idea it was Maddie's first time too. She seemed so comfortable and positive, and I was so nervous. I was like, okay, I'm not the only one that's the first time being here. I can do this. And after that, we started coming, and I still talk to Maddie, and we sit together at church. And it was after group and after service, I had went up to Caleb, and I was like, I want to get baptized, but I'm nervous, and I don't know what's right, what's wrong. Am I ready? And he's like, do it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna fill out a connection card. I filled out the connection card, said I wanted to be baptized. I get up there and I get in the water, and they're talking to me, and I'm just everywhere. And I remember coming back up and just feeling so relieved and happy and full of smiles. I feel like all I do is smile all the time. I never thought that I'd even be in a community or where I am today. I thought it'd be somewhere way opposite. Before being baptized, I was honestly just more negative, and I wasn't living the life that I needed to or deserved. And after being baptized, it's kind of opened my eyes more and gave me more hope and faith that it's bigger than the obstacles, and it's bigger than the waves that come in life, because we're all going to go through them. In the moments that's super low, it feels like it's impossible to get through, and you feel like you're just going to crash. There's no going back, there's no going forward, you're just stuck. And after being baptized, I felt like I could go forward for a commitment not only to myself but to God. that the old me is gone, and that who she was, she isn't anymore. And I wanted to live and be the Chloe that I am, the Chloe I could be.
I'm so encouraged by Chloe's story, and today we're going to get to celebrate stories just like that in a little bit with some baptisms, and we're going to sing about just the love that God brings. So I invite you to stand as we worship together. Here we go. Yeah, those lyrics get me so fired up. I love the hope we can find in who God is. And thanks for being here. We're glad you're here today. We'll continue with some baptisms here in a little bit and a few more songs. But we just want to take a second to show you what we got to do this weekend. We had a give back event where we just got to connect with our community. And I think God just really celebrates that, us partnering together and just providing hope for people. And that's exactly what our hope is for us today as we're here. And so we've got a video we want to check out, but I want to give you a few seconds just to meet a few people around you, and then we'll have John and Preston come up to talk to us about some community aspects. So go ahead and meet some people around you.
Hey, Jared here, and I am hanging out at Price Elementary. We're serving our community right now. Last year, we served around 700 meals. We expect that we're probably gonna be serving more than that tonight. We have over 400 backpacks that are gonna go out the door. And then right now, we have about 100 volunteers from all of North Point serving at this event on a Tuesday night, just to love our community. And so things like this happen only because of your generosity. North Point, thank you so much for making this happen. It's because of your generosity that we're able to love our community in this way.
Hey North Point, what is up? I am Drew, and I just want to say a huge thank you for your generosity. Because of your giving, we were able to put on this awesome back to school event.
The back to school party was an absolute blast. Families got to come through the resource room where they picked up a backpack, a lunchbox, and a water bottle. They visited with community partners, and then they headed out into the parking lot where there was a party.
And if you were a volunteer, we just want to say, oh my gosh, we literally could not do this without you. You are giving your time, you're giving your Friday night to help the city, to help Springfield.
We had a blast, and we are super thankful. Thanks for throwing a party with us.
And making Springfield a safe place to find and follow Jesus.
Well, good morning, North Point. It's good to have you. Hey, good to see everyone here in Springfield. I know we've got Nixa live with us right now. We've got Retmo live with us right now. We've got Dream Center.
They can't hear, but we're cheering really loud for them.
So
Really loud
they
for
were
them.
just not, you couldn't hear.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll, and then anyone watching online, it's good to have you as well. And today, I'm actually here with Preston, our Springfield Formations Director, Spiritual Formation. I almost said Springfield.
Whatever.
All
I've
the
been called
above.
worse.
All the above.
So, hey, it's great that you're here, and it's a great Sunday for you to be here. If we could go ahead at all the campuses, can we have the ushers come forward? And it's a little different because the order of things are different because we have baptisms. And that's the main point of today, is that you're going to see people being dunked in a tank over here or at your campus, however they're going to be dunked.
Absolutely. And before we talk about baptisms, hey, I want to take a moment and talk about what you just watched, that give back events around all of our campuses. And this is what's unique. This is why I love being a part of a multi-site church, which multi-site is just multiple sites, okay? We've got multiple campuses in different cities, and there's a lot that annoy me about being at a multi-site church, if I'm just being honest. Like sometimes you can feel like it's really hard to connect with people because there's so many. Sometimes you find out other people go to the same church as you and you didn't even know it. You just go to like a different service or a different campus. Sometimes you'll see Jeremy on the screen way more often than you'd like, and you'd like to see him in person. And that can just be one of those like annoying things about multi-site. But here's why I love multi-site. Here's why it's so important that we have that and so crucial in a community like this is because we get to be great neighbors to the cities that we are in, right? Whether that's in Republic, whether that's in Nixa, whether that's here in Springfield, the Zone 1 area of Springfield. Like we don't get to just serve pockets of people. We actually make a huge impact around our cities. And how often in your day-to-day life do you just get together with a few thousand people and say, how can we make an impact in our community? Maybe you do that all the time. If you do, let's talk after this. I'd love to. But I know that's not common. And so being able to come together and make an impact like you do is so big of a deal. The way that at all of our campuses, so many of you actually tuck away some of your preferences to be able to live out a mission like this, that's huge. And so I want to say thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for how you invest in our community. In fact, at all of our campuses, it's also our opportunity to give. And so I want to say a huge thank you for those of you who invest in and through North Point. Your giving doesn't just impact like inside these four walls. It actually stretches outside these four walls into our community partners. And so thank you for your giving. And before the buckets pass, I actually want to walk through these connection cards. I just want you to pull these out wherever you're at. You may have like moved them to the side. You may be sitting on it. Okay, pull this sucker out, and I want you to look at it. All right, at all of our campuses, Nixon, Republic, Dream Center, pull this out. Take a look at this. These are called connection cards because this is our way to connect with you, and this is your way to connect with each other. And so if you pull these out, you hold these in your hand, Preston is gonna walk through a few ways this next month, uniquely, how you can get connected and how you can connect to something bigger than you. And so take it away, Preston.
Yeah, these connection cards, we talk about them a lot, and I just want to let you know they're super important. We have in August 24th, so this month in August, we're in August already. August 24th, we have our last masterclass, and it's actually called Love Thy Neighbor, masterclass on Love Thy Neighbor, and here's why we're doing it. We're going into a group season here at the church, that at every campus, Springfield, every campus, where we're going to be launching groups, and groups are just a way of saying, let's get plugged into community and learn together. And going into groups, we just said, what if we did a masterclass on the importance of community? So if you want to lead a group, maybe you're used to hearing the term Group Leader Summit, that's actually going to be one of the next steps out of that masterclass. Maybe you say, I have community, but I want it to be really intentional. That'll be a next step out of that masterclass. Or you say, I want to join a group. Next step. So what I'm saying is, come to the masterclass. It'll be at the Springfield campus, and then it'll be broadcasted to the Republic campus. We're going to cater in really good food. And the speaker that we have, his name's David Dugason. He wrote Tomorrow and the Days to Come, which is actually the devotional that we give everyone who gets baptized. It talks about the Sermon on the Mount, how to become like Jesus. He also wrote a book called Neighborliness, which was debuted on the Today Show. It's all about how do you create the kind of Jesus-centered community that we're going for at North Point. So I just encourage you, do that and then look forward to groups. All right, we've had people holding buckets for a while. Go ahead and pass those buckets. Thanks for doing that. We are in this series called Invisible Jesus. Invisible Jesus is a series where we go through every book of the Bible, finding Jesus, one book per week. And this week we're in the book of Nehemiah.
Nehemiah it is.
And I have not missed a week.
Okay, but here's the biggest question. Well, you did miss 1 week.
I actually lied in church just now. I have missed a week.
I don't think it's a lie. I think it was just a forgetful moment.
Me too.
So did you catch up when you missed it? Did you go online? Did you watch it on the app? Where did you watch it, the app or YouTube?
Can you tell by my hesitation? I'm in the process of watching
That's all right.
it.
So which book of the Bible are you least likely to win a Bible quiz championship on?
2 Chronicles.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. You're good. Hey, welcome to North Point. Great to have you with us today. Yeah. Thrilled to see you. We have right now 4 campuses joining us right now and those who are joining us online. And we want to welcome each of you. It is baptism weekend, which means if you just dropped the kids off, you're like, how late am I? They're not singing anymore. We are going to be celebrating water baptisms at the end of our service. And then we will be able to have some time of worship as we do that. This is one of my favorite weekends, and I've already heard like us pastors like text across the 4 campuses all weekend long. And so I've already been like on the text threads and seeing that excitement about water baptism. Every campus, every service, we're seeing water baptism. Those of you who are prepared to get baptized today, big deal. We're so excited that you would say, we're going public with our faith, and it's going to be a party up in here, and we're excited for you. And then we're going to talk today about this message. We're in this series. Now, let me catch you up to speed. This series, Invisible Jesus, one book at a time. We're crawling our way through the book, but we're in the book of Nehemiah. If you've not been with us for the series, and you don't know what Nehemiah is, you're all right, okay? We're gonna catch you up. I believe today's message is a standalone, and it also is a building block. It's a principle of what I believe makes North Point North Point. So even if you're a guest with us today, I think today's one of those unique days, whichever campus you're at, or even if you're joining us online, that'll help you understand a little bit about this community that we find, man, so endearing to us and so many others around you. So we're gonna dive into that. Also, we've been talking about this the last few weeks and throwing it out online, but Leanne and I, we have a transition ahead of us as we prepare to make the move to Seattle. Next weekend will be our last weekend at North Point, and we would love to be able to celebrate that with you next weekend. I'm gonna give it all I got, and we're gonna go for it next weekend, but it's meaningful for us to be able to connect with you in this way. Well, how many of you have ever had a little kid around you at any time in life? Anybody ever been in charge of a little one, for whether you're babysitting, whether you're like, oh, they're yours, that kind of thing? It's interesting, when my girls were little, right? So they're not that age now, but when they were little, we had a favorite restaurant for the Johnson family, and it was Red Robin. Yum. Love Red Robin. So we would go to Red Robin, and we'd get our cheeseburgers. The kids would get the mac and cheese. And if you love like Kraft mac and cheese but want to pay more money for it, I suggest Red Robin. So they would go do that. And back in those days, Red Robin had a premium on helium. Okay, so that was their deal. Like nowadays, you can go to any event, any car dealership, any church, and you got helium balloons everywhere. But back in the day, you had to go get you some Red Robin Yum to get some helium balloons. And so we would get there. They would come, and the girls loved the helium balloons. And so they would tie said helium onto their wooden chair, the back of their chair, and they'd be eating their Kraft mac and cheese, shoveling into the face hole, and then they'd be like looking up for their helium balloon, loving it. And I know as a dad, there's a really stressful moment is when we have to leave Red Robin. We have to untie that helium balloon and tie it to their wrist, right? And then we have to walk them outside, and you do not want the helium balloon to go up into the air between Red Robin Yum and your car, because there's, well, one, you got federal laws against that kind of stuff, right? I don't know how many seagulls die because of helium balloons. The second thing is because then your kid's gonna have a public meltdown. And the worst thing about a kid having a public meltdown is it's quickly followed by an adult meltdown publicly, and we don't want that. And so what we try and do is you navigate them from the restaurant to the minivan, and then you're like trying to slide the minivan, but kind of putting a helium balloon under there, because I've done that mistake before, and you don't want that meltdown in the minivan either on the ride home. And so you navigate that, you get to the house, and you're thinking, okay, the helium balloon is intact, my kids' dreams are intact. And then I remember one time Janae's walking around with a helium balloon tied to her wrist, and it scrapes against the popcorn ceiling. Pop. And she just loses it. And as a dad, like I just have to yell at her, like, you little ingrate, why are you whining at me? It's not my problem. You're the one, obviously I'm not gonna do that. Because you think, okay, they just had something they loved, absolutely pop. And as a parent, there's a tension between trying to protect your kids' feelings and being able to help lead them on through tough things. And I know that all of us have had things in our life, hopes pop, dreams fade, relationships fizzle. We've all had something that we're left looking at the aftermath of. And sometimes we start looking at our father saying, why? And I've learned so much about my father from my daughters, because I've learned so much about his love for me as I've grown in my love for them. And what I want us to know today, I wrote this in the very top of my outline. We have it on the North Point Mo app if you're interested in judging when we're about ready for lunch. Okay, but I wrote on the top of mine that God uses opposition in our lives to make us stronger. That God will use the kind of things in our life that we don't enjoy, opposition, and he actually has a purpose for it. And it doesn't mean that God's popping all the proverbial balloons in your life. What it does mean is God is a good guy, a good God, and he will use those tough things to grow something in you. Opposition builds strength. We know that physically. How many of you pay a monthly membership to be able to go and sweat in front of a lot of people and push some heavy things? I don't, okay, obviously, okay? But that opposition, when you're pushing against something that's not natural, it's supposed to build some girth, build some muscle. It's supposed to help you take shape. In the same way, when it comes to our faith, opposition, what it does, it helps us to develop muscles, that we should rejoice no matter what kind of persecution we face, because we know that God uses this to develop something within us. Now, as a dad, I don't love naturally to watch my kids have opposition, but there's that tension I need to manage. There are times where I protect them and times where I direct them, and I gotta know the difference. When my kid is 4 months old and they're too cold at night, I don't say, well, you have to figure that out sometime. Like at that point, you get them comfortable and wrapping them, you got your little burrito, right? You're like, this is what I do because I'm trying to protect you from opposition. When my kid is 4 years old and some 14-year-old makes fun of my kid, I protect them, right? You know, you want to throw hands. You don't want to get in jail, but you want to protect your kid. When your kid's 14 years old and a 14-year-old says something about your kid, you don't protect them, you direct them. What did that feel like? What do you think a good response to that would be? What do you think they're feeling on the other end of that insecurity that makes them want to even behave like that? And you're trying to direct your kid. What I want us to understand is there are times where opposition is what you don't want your kid to experience, and then there's times where it's just part of growing up. And so what we need to do as being a child of God, to understand that some of the oppositions in our life, even if they're not caused by God, those oppositions can help us to grow. So not only will you have to go through it, if handled correctly, the things that you have to go through, you can now grow through. And that's what we want to look at in the story of Nehemiah. Now, before we get there, there's a verse in Philippians, Paul writes, and he says this. He says, for it is God who works in you both to will and to act according to his good purposes. Well, let me walk through that again. For it is God who works in me and you, both to do two things. Everyone say will. I wasn't everyone, but that's all right. We'll get there, okay? To desire, that's what will means. To wish, to desire. It's alignment. God is going to help me. It's because of God that allows me to change even my heart. My heart begins to align with God's heart. It's God that works in me for my alignment, to will. And then it says to act. Everybody say act. Okay, even if you don't want to say act like you want to, okay? Here we go. To will and to act. My alignment is my desire that lines up with God. And when I act, when I do something, it's my assignment. God does something in me to give me alignment and an assignment, and it's both of those things. God wants my heart to feel the things he feels. He wants my eyes to see the things he sees. He wants me to have this thing that we call compassion. It says that Jesus was gripped with compassion. He was in alignment, but also there's an assignment to your alignment, and that is you're gonna have to do something. It's not just about, I feel it, Mufasa, say it again, It's about I'm going to do a hard thing because God has put in my heart a strong thing. And a lot of people will not do the discipline even though they feel the alignment because it's tough, and sometimes we think opposition is evidence that we're not in God's will, and I propose that often the case is that opposition might be evidence that you are smack dab in the middle of God's will. That God will put something in your heart, and then you gotta walk it out. He talks it in, we walk it out. So I wanna look at a guy named Nehemiah. Now a little backdrop, so catch us all up on speed. If you've been in this series, you're like dialed, you're ready, okay? If you've not, here's the background. The nation of Israel, they were the Hebrew people, they were slaves in Egypt. And then they were led out of Egypt by God, all sorts of miracles. Maybe you've seen the Branson show. And for 40 years, they wander in the wilderness. They get to the promised land. They become a nation. Now these Hebrew people are called the Israelites because now they're ites. They're a nation, right? And so now they have the nation of Israel. They begin to rebel and they splinter and they become two nations. The northern nation was invaded by the Assyrians, the big, bad, nasty Assyrians. And then years later, from the east come the Babylonians and wipe out the rest of them. The Babylonians had put hooks in their noses and their ears and had tied those hooks on ropes to horses and led them out of Jerusalem, the place they lived, out of their nation, and they dragged them to Babylon, the height of the empire. This was brutal. The Babylonians annihilated the town, destroyed their temple, destroyed their walls, and burned it all for good measure. So now there's nothing left. And they're dragged out to the head of the Babylonians. Well, after several years, the Persian Empire comes in and takes over. The Persians were way more diplomatic. They weren't putting hooks in your noses or ears. They were like, hey, how about you go back to your land? Because they were like, it's efficient. You guys can provide a buffer for us right over here, and that way you can defend us in battle, and we'll even pay you to do it. So not a bad plan of attack. So the Persians said, you guys can go, we'll fund you. And lastly, we talked about these people in Persia, these Jewish people, because now they're not Israelites because they don't have a nation, right? And so now they're called Jewish people at this time. These Jewish people were like, nah, we're good. Like, we've got cheesecake factories here in Persia. This is nice. Like, Jerusalem's nasty. Why would we want to go back there? And there was a guy named Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel led a bunch of people. And then years later, there was a guy named Ezra, and Ezra brought a bunch of people out, and they rebuilt the temple. That was last week. Now, you've got a guy named Nehemiah. Nehemiah, he's going to build the wall. Why is a wall important? Right? Well, in those days, a wall, because you didn't have drone, you didn't have aerial attack, every attack was from ground. The wall gave you a safe place. You weren't considered a city in those days unless you had a wall. And even if you only had like 25 people, if you had a wall, you were a city. This was a place, their walls had been knocked down, and Nehemiah has it put on his heart to will and to act according to God's purpose, to go in and build a wall for the Jewish people. But he was cupbearer for the king. And I don't know if on career day you dressed up as a cupbearer, right? That's a big aspiration of yours, but it's kind of a dated job. But back in the day, this was like, maybe you've seen a Shakespeare play where everyone's trying to kill everybody in power and being nice to it, saying like, here, I made you this homemade thing, right? Ooh, I didn't know you were allergic to poison. Sorry, you're dead. And so they would always sneak cyanide into people's wine, which, it's not very creative, but that's what they did. And so the king would hire a cupbearer. And so they'd be like, you sip this. And if you remember like a canary in a coal mine, very similar, okay? If the canary like drops dead, you're like, you better get out of that coal mine, right? That's how it was with cupbearers. If the cupbearer drops to the ground and starts shaking, you might be like, I'll pass. I'll take bottled water, please, thank you. And so that's how it worked. Nehemiah, though, lived in the palace of Persia. He was in the lap of luxury, probably in a 4-bedroom penthouse suite, driving a Tesla. He's loving his life, but he hears about his people. God puts it on his heart, alignment, and God gives him an assignment. He's gonna rebuild a wall. One more thing and then we'll dive in. You're like, you still haven't started? Nope, okay. 2 more weeks of this. Okay, so here we go. We have this phrase that's really famous in Christian culture. So if you're not a big fan of Christian culture, or you didn't even know Christians had a culture, there's this phrase that's gonna be important. It's called stand in the gap. This idea of standing in the gap, like sometimes you're like, I don't even know what that means. Have you ever like been in a prayer meeting with somebody who like is way more spiritual than you? Like you never wanna be asked to pray. Like they ask you to pray for the food and you're like, God is great, God is neat, thank you, Lord, now let's eat. Okay, and you're like, that's all I got, that's all I got. And the person next to you is like, I beseech thee, Lord of hosts, right? That you would stand in the gap. over this hedge of protection. And you're like, well, where do you even get all those words, right? Well, Nehemiah is where they get the words. Okay, so this idea of standing in the gap means that it's this building term back in the days. The city was vulnerable to all the enemy. And so the enemy can walk in. Standing in the gap means we're gonna build a wall, and anytime there's a gap, we're standing in the way of the gap, and we will guard that gap because you're vulnerable right there, and we're not gonna let the enemy get in. And so when we say in the Christian culture life that we're standing in the gap, we're saying, listen, you're 14 years old right now and you're vulnerable to the opinions of others, so we're standing in the gap and reminding you of your identity and the confidence you have from God, and that you live from affirmation, not for affirmation, and all those other great things we can do for 14-year-olds or 44-year-olds and everything in between. Stand in the gap. Where are you vulnerable? God wants to stand in the gap. Nehemiah saw his people were vulnerable. So he wants to build a wall and stand in the gap. So what I want to do today, and I think this is missional for North Point, and I'm going to get started here in a second, but what I want to do today is I want to talk about 3 ways we can stand in the gap. If we're going to stand in the gap, the first thing we need to do, like Nehemiah, is we need to see it. We need to be able to see the challenge, see the problem. As a church, and I know that we're across 4 different locations right now, we need to be the type of people who look into our community and we see the gaps. And when we see the gap, we allow God to speak to us about it. Have you ever noticed that you're not in heaven yet? Have you noticed that? Been to Walmart recently, right? Like you're like, okay, there's some challenges. We got some challenges. Have you, like when we are faced with challenges, the natural tendency is to be like, oh, separate myself from opposition. But compassion says, God, I don't want to just see it, I want to see it. Give me the kind of vision to be able to accompany my vision. We see this in Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 3. The people said to Nehemiah, because he's writing it, those who survived the exile, what's the exile? Hooks in the nose, dragged to Babylon, and now it's Persia, and are back in the province. Where's the province? Jerusalem. So Nehemiah is saying the people who were dragged out of here and now returned are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down and its gates have been burned with fire. If I'm Nehemiah, when I hear that message, that the people who left to go back to Jerusalem, they're miserable and they got gaps. If I'm Nehemiah, I'd be like, I'm calling a locksmith and getting extra bolts put on my door, because if those sorry suckers try and come back to the penthouse of Persia, I don't want them getting what's mine. This is not a Chamber of Commerce's dream right now. Hey, come to Jerusalem where everything you own can be taken from you anytime. Right? There's gaps, but you got to see it. Individually, we've got to see the gaps in our own life. How many of you, if we go back to hanging around a little kid, how many of you are old enough to remember the sippy cups when they weren't very hermeneutically sealed? Early generation sippy cups, those little science labs. How many of you have ever found a sippy cup way after it expired? How many of you, you crack it open, you're like, holy cow, why are we putting cottage cheese in a sip? Oh, nasty. How many of you have ever had it so bad where your nose found a sippy cup long before your eyes found a sippy cup? You're like, it stank up in here. I don't know what is going on. You're looking underneath everything, right? You're fish hooking everyone's pants. You're like, something died up in there. And you find it under a couch 2 months later, and there it is, this sippy cup that's glowing in the dark. And you're like, what is going on? And if you have a genetic disorder of being a male, you open it, right? And you're like, I wonder what this smells like. Oh, right? Okay, now here's the deal. Is when our souls have the stank, it's easy for us to be like, I'm fine. I've got a hold of the very thing that honestly has a hold of me. I'm mastering this addiction. It's no problem. I'm completely functional. But God sees the gap and he goes after it and he stands in the gap and he offers us freedom. But you will not conquer what you will not confront. And you gotta be able to say, I see it. And God, I pray that you would do something about it. And then he wants us to do the same thing. A lot of people pray this prayer, God, do something in me, which is a noble prayer. I dare you to say it. It's great. What sippy cup needs some attention in my own soul? But a better prayer than God, do something in me is this next one. God, do something through me. Don't just do something in me so I feel better and more holy and more Christian. Do something through me. Help me to see the gaps in my community. I wrote it down this way, that a great vision starts with a great void. When we walk our neighborhoods, when you attend your parent-teacher orientations, when you walk into your homeroom, when you show up on the job and you're overhearing conversations at work, where are the voids? And say, God, help me to see it and align my heart. Second thing though is this, not only do you have to see it, you have to own it. You have to own it. You can never influence something you will not take responsibility for. You've got to own the situation. Nehemiah does it this way. He says it this way. He says, when I heard these things, I sat down and wept. It would be easy for him to be like, someone else's problem. People in Jerusalem, they're having an issue. Lame for them. But he wept. For some days I mourned and I fasted and I prayed. It's one thing to cry, it's another thing to miss lunch intentionally, okay? This guy's messed up. He prayed before the God of heaven. Then he said, Lord, the God of heaven, the great and awesome God who keeps the covenant of love with those who love him and keep his commandments. Let your ear be attentive and your eyes open to hear the prayer your servant's praying before you day and night. For your servants, the people of Israel. He uses the word Israel. He's looking back to when they used to be a nation. He's like, God, these people used to be a nation. Now we're not even Israelites because we have no home. We have no nation. And then he says, I confess the sins. Look at the pronouns, their personal pronouns. I confess the sins we Israelites, including myself and my father's family, have committed against you. He owns the problem. Listen, in my transition, I've been thinking like, I wanna write some letters and leave them in my desk because there's problems that happen. And I'm like, what do I do? That was one of my challenges. Like, it's easy to blame someone else for the problems that you're facing. And so I wanna help the next person be able to do that. So I'm gonna tell them I'm leaving you 3 letters in the desk, and don't open the first letter until you get a problem. And when you get a really bad problem, you don't know what to do, read the first letter. And the first letter is gonna say, blame the last guy. Just blame him. That's all right, I'll take it, I'll own it. Just blame me, and that'll get you through this problem. And don't open the second letter until you get another problem. And then when you get into a big problem, you open the second letter, it'll say, blame the board and blame the people that you're serving, okay? Just do that. People will treat you like a victim, that's all right, okay? It'll get you through this problem, and don't read the third letter until you get into another big problem. Then the third letter, they'll open it up and it'll just say, write 3 letters, okay? That's basically because we have this tendency to blame. But Nehemiah has to own and say, I will own this. This is my problem. Even though Nehemiah wasn't alive when they were Israelites, it wasn't Nehemiah's problem, the walls are torn down, but Nehemiah owned it so that he can own the impact and the solution. And as a church, we have to do that. I wrote it down this way, with revelation comes responsibility. And yes, I was watching Spider-Man and Peter Parker when I wrote it down, but that quote there still is helpful, is with great revelation comes great responsibility. We have to be able to say, what is my response to this? I have to be able to do something. He wills in me to do something about this problem. God work in me and now work through me. As a church, the scariest day of my life was the day that we received the free building for the Dream Center. And I've talked about that a lot. I'm like, oh boy, how much is that free building gonna cost us? It comes with a boiler system. Whippy, that's awesome. Love me a good boiler. Do you know every year we have an opportunity to invest over $1 million a year in the Dream Center? It's a big deal. And at first it was a challenge to align the heart, to say it's our responsibility. And I gotta tell you, it is the best part of North Point because it allows us to not just give something away at an event, even though those are great. It allows us to own our part of the community. And there are so many ways we can express this throughout our campuses, but that's been my favorite part. We have to have responsibility. So what we see is Nehemiah verse 11 of chapter 1. Nehemiah says, Lord, let your ear be attentive to the prayer of this your servant, to the prayer of your servants who delight in revering your name. Give your servant success today by granting him favor in the presence of this man. Who is this man? The king of Persia, Artaxerxes. That's probably what he sounds like in the movies, right? Artaxerxes is the most powerful man. And Nehemiah's like, all right, let's go all in. Because once you see it and then you own it, the third thing is you leverage everything for it. You say, I'm gonna leverage everything I have for this vision that God gave me. Nehemiah chapter 1 says this in verse 11. And I don't have a tattoo yet because I just can't, the first one's a big one, right? You're like, what do I do? And it's like putting a bumper sticker on a Ferrari, right? Like, I don't know if you do that, like with this, but is if I were to, I might go Nehemiah 1:11, and it would be this. Check out this word in here. Nehemiah says, it's the next word. Everyone say this next word. Cupbearer to the king. Pink slip. I'm willing to leverage everything I have, sir, because God gave me this vision for my people. And it's gonna cost me a lot to do what God called me, but it'll cost me so much more not to. So respectfully, sir, I'm going to Jerusalem. He's gonna build the wall for vulnerable people. I gotta tell you, sometimes we have the tendency to be like, it's offering time. Oh, church is always talking about money. Which, side note, you've been coming to North Point, we don't do mini sermons at the offering time, okay? Next week we're going, no, I'm just kidding. We don't do that. We don't do that. What we do though, is we have this sense of community that says, listen, every time we have a chance to leverage what we can for our community, bingo, glad to, bring it on. This is why we exist. I'm not gonna whine that this great call is gonna cost me something. I'm gonna leverage, I'm gonna go all in. I'm gonna Nehemiah 1:11 this thing. I'm gonna say, I will lay down whatever I need to lay down to lean in to whatever he's called me to lean into. And I'm inspired about that because I watch so many of you do that. You do this in the way you lay down your time and you lead groups. You do this in the way that you lay down your priorities and preferences and you lean in to help those around you who have gaps in their life, and you stand in the gap and say, I will fight for you when you don't have the strength to fight on your own. When you write those investment checks and say, I believe in this mission, this vision, and we will go forward. We'll repair that boiler. And what happens is when we do great work, I wrote this down, you will have great difficulty when you attempt great work, which is a paradox to sometimes what we think is gonna happen. Sometimes when we think we're Nehemiah, we're like, I'm gonna do this great work, and we think everyone's gonna have a parade for us. Like, look at Nehemiah. Wow, what a noble guy, he's gonna do this great work. But with great work comes great difficulty. And sometimes, well, in Nehemiah's case, people weren't proud of him for stepping out. People mocked him, people doubted him. They made it tough for him to do the very thing God's called him to do. Why would it be any different for us? Sometimes we have the kind of faith that helps us to launch into something, but not the depth of faith to help us to keep going. And Nehemiah demonstrates for us, it's not just to launch into something God calls you to do. It's to say, I will build this wall even if I don't get encouraged. And some of us are living for affirmation instead of from affirmation. Sometimes we're looking for the inbox to get that email of encouragement. Sometimes we're waiting for the boss to give us that word of encouragement. But sometimes we just have to open our own lips and say, I'm doing something good right now. I'm not going to stop. I'm doing what God's called me to do, and I'm going to keep on, even if I have a lot of opposition, because when you do great work, you're going to have great difficulty. I'll tell you what, especially when you do great work, sometimes the very people you're serving are gonna make it more difficult. They're gonna be like, you're giving this free thing to me? I wanted something different free. And you're like, you little ingrate, right? And you're gonna be like, no. Or be like, man, they start telling their friends about the great work you're doing, and now it's gonna be a personnel issue. Now it's gonna be a facility issue. And now we're gonna have how many more diapers? Like all these great things that we're doing is gonna have more of a great challenge. And that's why God will continue to work on your alignment and your assignment. And he says, you're doing great thing. And there is something called hope. North Point, you are doing great work, and there will always be great challenges. Nehemiah, we see a couple of these times in verse 2 of chapter 4. Here's what the outsider said. What are these miserable Jews doing? Do they think they can get everything back to normal overnight? Some of you were called from God out of addiction, and the people who should be encouraging you are doubting you out loud. Like, what are you thinking? You think your family's gonna trust you again? You think you're ever gonna have influence in this area? And you know what you need? An affirmation from God and someone to stand in the gap and link arms with you and say, ignore them. Bunch of haterade. Don't let them discourage what you're doing. Nehemiah 4:6 says this, we kept at it repairing and rebuilding the wall. The whole wall was soon joined together and halfway to its intended height because the people had a heart for the work. I had said earlier that you'll have great difficulty when you attempt to do great work, but this next part, but you will have a great power from a great God to help you finish the work. He who began a good work in you will be faithful to bring it to completion. That's just how good God is. And some of you, you've done some hard work in your marriage. Keep building that wall. Some of you have done some hard work repairing that relationship. Keep building, keep swinging. Some of you have done some hard work to be free, but this weekend might be tempting. Keep swinging. You're doing great work. And here's this last verse that I'll read in Nehemiah chapter 6. It says this. Well, it's not the last verse. Close, though. It says, Sanballat and Geshem, these guys, a bunch of jokers, they sent this message to Nehemiah. Come and meet with us at Kephram in the valley of Ono. And they're like, hey, because they couldn't discourage Nehemiah. They couldn't snuff out the hope and the joy that Nehemiah had and the strength that Nehemiah had to keep building, even though no one was encouraging him. So then they were gonna kill him. So they said, hey, come meet us at such and such town. It's blackberry season at Andy's, our treat. Meet us there at Andy's. They're just trying to get him off the wall so they can kill the dude and bury him in the desert. And Nehemiah wrote this, I knew they were scheming to hurt me. So I sent my messengers back to their ugly mugs with this. I added that. Here's what Nehemiah said to these guys. I'm doing a great work. I can't come down. Would you say that with me? I'm doing a great work. Now say it like you are. I can't come down. Some of you just got to tell yourself that. When the enemy says it would be easier for you to start over in a relationship than build the marriage that you're in. I'm doing a great work. I ain't coming down. Some of you says, man, your teenagers, they're hard to understand. Give them over to their ways. Building a great work. I'm not coming down now. North Point, you are doing great work. Keep swinging. The wall is not done. Even in the buckle of the Bible Belt, there is room for a safe place. There are gaps in our land. We need people to stand in the gap and say, come here, you're safe in here. Don't come down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna invite our worship teams to come forward to each of our campuses. And as we get to a spot of celebration of baptism, matter of fact, if you're getting baptized at any of our campuses right now and you're already prepared, would you go ahead and stand on up and head out to wherever they told you to go to? And I don't know where that is, but I hope you do. If not, just follow everyone there and we'll figure it out. Would you give them a hand as they move towards baptism? It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. What baptism is, baptism doesn't make you holy, it just makes you wet. But what it is someone who said, God's worked in me and I wanna live my life following him. It's a recognition that God created us for relationship. Sin separates us from everything that is life, including our relationship with God. But when I realized that Jesus Christ is the one who stood in the gap for me, and when he came down to live for me, he was offered a throne. They said, we'll make you king. And he's like, I can't come down. I'm doing good work. I'm not finished. And they distracted him and they doubted him. Even his brothers said, who do you think you are? And he says, I can't come down. I'm not finished. And then he gets onto a cross and dies for our sin. And he says, it is finished. He stood in the gap for you and me. He's the only one that allowed us to have a safe place to encounter God's best. And baptism is when someone says, I've experienced that. And just as Jesus was buried and on the third day rose again, we're gonna bring him in the tank or the tub one at a time, and they're gonna be buried. And then on Wednesday, we'll come back up and, well, no, I'm just kidding. We'll just bring them back out of the water and say, risen to new life in Jesus Christ. And when we do that in just a second, North Point, don't go quiet on me. In just a second, when they come out of that water, I want you to get obnoxious during that time. I want them to know they're not alone and that they're doing good work and to not come down. But if you're here today and you've not been baptized and you have or are ready to give your life to Jesus Christ, I know that you're not even planning to be baptized. I propose that today's your day. If you're ready to declare Jesus Christ as Lord of your life, or you've already done it but you never got baptized, Jesus Christ told us to do it. I know I'm asking you to do a tough work that you're not planning on it. Some of you are like, I just got my hair did. That's all right. You're like, I'll look funny wet. You look funny dry. Okay. Like, I don't have any clothes to get baptized. Well, you do need clothes, okay? But we've got t-shirts, shorts, towels in the lobby, every one of our lobby. Literally, we have whiteboard sessions about what obstacles can we knock out so that you can say yes to what Jesus says. Or maybe you're like, it's a hot summer day. I'm coming in with what I'm wearing. You'll be dry in 5 minutes. That's fine too. I believe for some of you, today is your day. If that's true, just do it. I will refer to a sermon series I did a long time ago. If that's you, grow a pair and just say yes to what God's saying inside. And we celebrate. Last verse, Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10. What gave Nehemiah the ability to stand in the gap? He says in verse 10 of chapter 8, the joy of the Lord is my strength. What gives you the ability to stand in the gap for a beautiful community that needs a safe place to find and follow Jesus? The joy of the Lord. We don't need a crotchety, crusty old Christian. We got enough of those. What we need is a joy-filled, vision-filled person who's helping others guard the vulnerable areas of their life. And we got room on this wall for you. So just stand with me if you're able to at all of our campuses. I'm gonna pray in just a second, then we're gonna go into a time of worship. But this is gonna be your bold, challenging, difficult next step that I'm challenging you to take. If today's your day to get baptized, I'm gonna get in the tank. We got pastors at every campus. We're gonna get in the tank, and we wanna meet you there. So in just a second, when I'm done praying, make your way to the lobby or get in line, and let's go public with what God's doing, and let's have a celebration. So Father, today, we honor you. We worship you. Thank you for standing in the gap of our own faith. And not only have you worked in us, would you once again work through us as a community? Let us be a safe place that stands in the gap so that other people can experience you. And today, as we celebrate water baptism, let the noise reach heaven. And for those who need to today, right now, invite them from heaven to this bold next step, and we'll celebrate together in Jesus' name, amen. This is your time. If that's your next step, we'll see you in the tank. Worship teams, let's do this.
Is enough when I feel the shaking. Oh, I will stand my ground. Your presence is enough. You are with me, and Father, you're for me. And fear will never conquer me, 'cause I belong to Jesus. I'm never alone, I'm never abandoned, but fear will never conquer me, 'cause I belong to Jesus. When I feel the pressure, oh, I won't run away, even in tension. You're near to us, God, your presence is enough. When I'm in the mystery, I will stand my ground, 'cause you're enough, God. My God, you are enough. Oh, you are with me. And Father, you're for me. And fear will never conquer me, 'cause I belong to Jesus. Yes, we do. I'm never alone. You're by my side. I'm never abandoned. Never conquer me, 'cause I belong to Jesus. When the rain fell, when the floods came, when the wind blew, I was okay. You were right there. You're in every step I take. Yes, you are. When the night falls, when my heart aches, if I stumble, I will not break. You'll be right there. You're in every step I take. Oh, when the rain fell, when the floods came, when the wind blew, I was okay. You were right there. You're in every step I take. Oh, when the night falls, when my heart aches, if I stumble, I will not break. You'll be right there. You're in every step I take. You're the shepherd, you're my keeper, my provider, my protector. You surround me, you're in every step I take. 'Cause you're good, God. You're the goodness, you're the constant, you're my present and my future. You surround me, you're in every step I take. You are with me, yes you are. And Father, you're for me. Oh, and fear will never conquer me,
will fear no evil. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And even though I
I will build my life upon your. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be. Can we sing it again? And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will. Come on, let's make it a declaration today. I will build my life. I won't be shaken. is all around. Your goodness is everywhere, Lord. We thank you, Lord. Oh, yes. Your goodness is all around. It goes before. We thank you, Jesus. We worship you, Lord. It's running after me. Your goodness is running after me. With my life laid down, surrender now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Man, we're so glad that you're here this weekend. I was thinking, I think maybe the most encouraging thing about this weekend is we just witnessed a bunch of people, whether you're online in the Nixa community, the Republic community, the Springfield area, we witnessed a bunch of people make a personal decision, take it public, and that leaves us the opportunity to come alongside them and show them that they're not alone in that decision, that there's a community with them. Can we give it up for all those that made their decision today? Let them know they're not alone. Come on, let them hear you. One of the greatest decisions you can ever make. And it's not a finish line. They didn't just graduate. The journey just began. And this is where we get to come alongside of them. Link arms, say, hey, I got you. We're going together. We're doing good work. There's still great work to be done. Keep swinging. Keep swinging. It's awesome. One last thing I want to leave you with is another opportunity to come together as a community and say goodbye to Jeremy and Leanne. We have an awesome event Friday here at the Springfield campus. There'll be details online that you can see. But come on, it's open house format, a roast and toast, if you will. So you can say thank you, or you can tell them what you've been thinking all these 13 years. And there's your opportunity. But we hope to see you there. And then also for next week, their last Sunday with us, we hope to see you back. Glad you're here today. Go have a great week. We love you.
Well, I hope today was helpful for you. And if you're interested in following along on this journey of invisible Jesus, you can hop on our website and follow along at invisiblejesus.org. And you can get even more resources on each one of these books, the stories, where is Jesus found in each one of these books. We just think those are some helpful resources for you on your faith journey. We'll see you next week.